Okay, welcome everyone, and thank you for logging into our webinar today. My name is TJ Cantwell, and I'm the Executive Director of the NCCCO Foundation. At the NCCCO Foundation, we are working to improve the crane industry for everyone working in the load handling field by enhancing safety through research, education, and workforce development programs. You can learn more about our foundation programs, safety tools, research reports, and future webinars at ncccofoundation.org. Today, as part of our education webinar series, our topic is Veterans, Values, in the Crane Seat, what the crane industry needs to know. During our webinar today, our lead researcher will provide a brief overview of our recent research on military veterans in the crane industry and highlight our findings. And then we will have a discussion with several veterans, one who is currently a crane operator, and two who work to assist veterans in finding and getting employment after their military service. I'll be acting as moderator. We'll conduct a Q&A session at the end of today's webinar. So if you have any questions during the webinar, please type them into the Q&A box as we go. We'll address as many as possible during the Q&A session. Please note that today's webinar is being recorded so that we can share it with others. Before we start, I want to provide a brief introduction to our four great panelists. First, Caitlin Redelman is served as our lead researcher on this project and works at Smallbox Consulting based in Indianapolis, Indiana. As research strategist, Caitlin blends human-centered design, anthropology, and digital marketing to engage audiences, understand complex problems, and thoughtfully craft websites, brands, and strategy. Eric Grissom was born in Florence, Alabama, but currently resides in Sierra Vista, Arizona. He's an Army veteran, having served 26 years in the United States Army and over 16 years as a career counselor with multiple deployments. He currently serves as the business services representative for Arizona at Work, Southeastern Arizona. Eric's a certified workforce development professional and a certified business service consultant. He's been helping businesses find and train qualified workers for over 6 years. Gabriel Lopez is the program manager for business services for the and the Keno Veteran Workforce Center, serving in community and workforce development in Pima County, Arizona. He brings a strong background in workforce development, employer engagement, and veteran services with a focus on connecting individuals to meaningful employment opportunities. And then we have finally Luke Cordoraco served in the Marine Corps as a infantryman and deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. He has been a crane operator for about 14 years, during which he was on many high-profile jobs throughout the U.S. Over the last few years, he has helped over 350 veterans with their VA benefits, and 24 veterans get into crane operations, excuse me. Welcome to each of you. On behalf of myself and our audience, I want to say thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. And to those of you who are veterans, thank you for your service. Now let's get into it. I'll present I'll put the slides up there so everybody can see. And Caitlin, please provide us with an overview of the research. Thank you.
Thanks, TJ. All right, I'm really happy to be here today to tell everybody a little bit more about our research into, give everyone some context leading up to the, question and answer with the great gentleman on this call. So I'll go ahead and talk about kind of the approach to our research on this next slide here. Um, so in um, throughout last year in the summer and the fall, um, the NCCCO Foundation and my firm Smallbox came together and we sort of rallied around this sort of base assumption that like military veterans are a powerful and under-leveraged talent pool in the crane industry. So we wanted to explore that more. So in order to answer sort of this big question of how can the crane industry better understand and support military veterans who are working in or considering a career in cranes, we conducted a series of qualitative research research engagements. Those were surveys and interviews, focus groups um, that included 62 military veterans from across the U.S., including the three other panelists on this call. Um, we were very proud that everyone who participated, whether they were folks currently working in the crane and load handling industry or workforce development and talent professionals. Everyone who participated in those surveys, interviews, and focus groups are military veterans. So that was really helpful in forming our basis of understanding here. We're really just kind of cracking the ice with exploring the experiences of this population and helping those of us on the civilian workforce side better understand what this can mean for the crane industry. So we really emphasized like personal storytelling and sentiment. So you're going to see that throughout as we really try to just form a foundation of understanding of what it's like to be a military veteran, considering working and transitioning into the civilian crane industry. So we're going to walk through four main findings that comprise the research report that we are publishing. And we'll go ahead and get started with the first one. If you go to the next slide, TJ. Okay, so one of our main findings here to sort of set a precedent, we wanted to figure out a little bit of how do military veterans who are currently working in the crane and load handling industry find those careers. And there's sort of like two big pathways that emerged. There is, of course, this exposure through civilian life that mirrors a lot of what you might, be familiar with from other crane operators, other folks in the industry. A lot of it is through existing familiarity with trades, through friends and family being around, other trades, construction in particular, growing up. Um, and then there is this other route, as we might predict, of exposure through the military. And that is where we can really start to learn some new things as civilians here to start to understand these military pathways and consider them in career outreach and hiring practices towards veterans. And a big concept that while we have, limited time today, I really want to make sure that we get this idea that, the serving in the military in particular, if you are in active duty is a full-time job with really rigorous training. So when folks are transitioning out of their military career, they really have a whole military resume behind them. And a lot of what we're going to look at going forward is sort of thinking about how do we translate those experiences in the military into the civilian world. And, in particular, whether veterans were directly working with, specialized heavy machinery. A huge theme that we heard and that we'll continue to drill down on is sort of these similarities between the environments that folks might encounter in military service and military training, and some of those skills and qualities that are really, really core to the crane industry and can make this a really unique field. Um, so that idea of a military occupation and having a military career alongside a civilian career is really key for our foundation of understanding here. So go ahead to the next slide. Okay. Along with that, as I was saying, there's, a lot of um, in-depth training. So whether a veteran has sort of specialized experience in heavy equipment operation or something similar, there is this set of transferable skills and mindsets that we were able to identify that we heard about over and over and over again as things that the military really deeply instills in you that can be really advantageous for a career in the crane industry. There are, of course, those technical skills, but in particular, there are these sort of dispositions. We heard a huge emphasis on just the military work ethic. Um, and then to share some of these others through the words of veterans, we asked them what that you learned in the military makes you good at your job in cranes. One quote here is adaptability and the ability or desire to learn new skills, the ability to accept constructive criticism. Um, Another veteran said, a crane's a crane, safety is safety. We're all responsible for one another. We are our brother's keeper. So the safety mindedness, teamwork is huge on the job site as well as in the military. And then also with that, the idea of understanding the chain of command and communication up and down it, and really valuing communication and process and safety and teamwork, and really being an expert in those skills can all come from the military and make someone really, ready and fitting for a career in cranes. All right, next slide, please. Okay, and then we also looked at it from sort of the other side as well, not just why might folks in the crane industry see veterans as really valuable potential um, team members, but also what can make veterans interested in the crane industry? Not just those skills that they have, but like what other aspects do you enjoy about your job? What keeps you coming back to the job site? We continue to hear about sort of those similarities and synergies between military training and service and the sort of crane and load handling construction job site, the teamwork, the emphasis on safety, the presence of heavy machinery, the importance of those processes continued to um, be pretty prominent, as well as some things that folks just found really enjoyable as well. So one thing that we heard, another direct quote, I love being able to lift up heavy objects, challenging myself in different atmospheres and seeing progress happen in construction builds. So we heard a lot about, I enjoy building things. I enjoy being challenged, and a lot of those things that may have been appealing aspects of military service to folks, they're also seeing reflected in these crane careers. And that's something that we can really work to understand and uplift, as well as being kind of task oriented, enjoying problem solving, working with teammates, and some more baseline, um, this is just a good job type sentiment of, you know, someone said you won't be doing back-breaking labor like other trades. So if you're someone who likes the trades, who is skilled in this area, um, but is maybe looking for a quote unquote relaxing role, especially in comparison to your time in the military, that's potentially an appealing aspect of training to become a crane operator, as well as the pay and stability of the industry. It was seen as a really dependable and kind of balanced career field by the veterans that we spoke to as well. All right, we'll do one more major finding here before I kind of recap everything. So, our last finding is about challenges in the workforce. Just drilling in a little bit more, um, what do veterans want to make sure that we as, civilians understand? What difficulties could they be encountering? So this isn't specific to the crane industry, but it can be really helpful in shedding light on the lived experiences of veterans who are working in the industry or who could be entering the industry. And this was primarily about different work and communication styles, some of those military skills, and how, in particular, differences in communication can cause friction, and that can be um, frustrating for folks. And also having that great value of really highly valuing teamwork and safety and communication, and maybe not seeing it reflected by those around you. There are also challenges unique to veterans. Like some folks might be, requiring time to go to VA appointments. Um, that need to be considered by employers, and then also building more on those skills that we've heard about and the idea of there being a separate, military career. Just, wishing that more people understood that veterans bring a more or bring a unique and valuable skill set to the table, which hopefully is in particular what we're working to recognize and learn how to lean into a little bit more through this webinar and through the accompanying report. So our next slide is just a summary of our research findings, our takeaways here. Um, I know I'm brushing up on my time, so I'll just kind of state these really quickly. So we have these two main career paths. Veterans typically discover careers in cranes through related military work or veteran outreach programs, or through personal connections and civilian work experiences very similar to civilian crane operators. Veterans possess transferable skills and mindsets from the military that make them a good fit for careers in the crane industry. Careers in the crane industry are also a good fit for veterans who are looking for careers that provide both challenge and stability. And as members of the civilian workforce, veterans often have different work and communication styles and may experience other unique challenges. Um, so in the report, if you guys, go and look at it, we have building off of these four main findings, three action areas. TJ, if you go to the next slide, perfect. Thank you. So these are our really, um, actionable pieces that you can take with you. Um, they are the sort of, okay, how do I take this and apply it and get started? I want to do something in the industry or in my company to make use of these findings and to, improve how I hire and conduct outreach to veterans or support those who are already on my team. And that's looking at emphasizing the unique skills of veterans, finding alignment with veteran needs and programs, and uplifting veteran voices in the military community. So in our full report, these are delved into with a little bit more detail, connecting some key findings to them and laying out some recommended actions that can be implemented. So I'm really excited to have this out to all of you and um, to have these findings and these action areas um, out in the world in the crane industry so that we can all, lean into this new foundation of understanding and, you know, see what we can learn from Eric and Gabriel and Luke. So that is our little research summary. Thank you so much. I'm excited to hear from the rest of the panel.
Thank you, Caitlin. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know that was again very brief overview of a much larger report that you guys put together, and so again, there's the full report is going to be available on our website later today. We'll have pages and pages of information, details and data and stuff, and some of the quotes that Caitlin already provided or shared, but more specifically to the different areas she talked about in terms of the what we learned from the veterans is why they're why what they're looking for, why they're a good fit for the crane industry, why the crane industry is a good fit for them, and then some things again that could be hopefully improved so that we can be more attractive to veterans and the messaging and things. So again, I'll bring in our panel here. Um, Wanted to open with some questions to the folks that are on the phone again or on this webinar that we've got in addition to Caitlin, we've got Luke, who's a current crane operator and a military veteran, and then Gabriel and Eric, who are both veterans and involved in helping veterans transition from the military into the workforce in a variety of different obviously civilian jobs, but have a great experience of their own and background. So why don't we start at the start? And I'm just going to throw this kind of first question out to everybody, which is, to talk about the experience of transitioning from the military life to civilian employment. Caitlin touched on this a little bit, and I know it's discussed in full in the research report. But since we have the three people here that have served in the military and of course experienced your own transition and ability to become employed in the civilian world, if you take a minute or two to share your experiences with transitioning from the military any stories you have of yourself or others maybe that you've helped, the challenges that they've had, and any ways that you've like were able to overcome those challenges, right? Help them or overcome those. So just a couple thoughts on that kind of transition part, because I know that can be a tough part just to start. Anybody's welcome to go jump in.
Absolutely. I can go first. So I got out of the military from Fort Drum, New York in 2020. I went to California to finish a bachelor's, but during that time, COVID hit. I ended up here in Tucson, Arizona, in which I came across the Keynote Veteran Workforce Center. As most of you know, during that time, there's not a lot of jobs being open. Matter of fact, they were laying off a lot of individuals. So I got involved with the Keynote Veteran Workforce Center. And through that organization, they sent me to uh, different companies that were looking for someone immediately. So I applied to multiple. I did get hired, but a few months later, I got let go. I got let go because of COVID. We were in the middle of COVID, so I got let go after 3 months, I believe. And then the Keynote Vet Center called me back, and they offered me a different job with a different organization. That being said, at that time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have a plan in mind. I just knew I needed a job. I needed to start working. And thanks to the Keno Vet Center, I was able, and the veterans in that organization, they were able to get me into a career path. 5 years later, here I am, the manager of the Keno Vet Center, along with the business services. But that all happened because I got surrounded by those veterans who have been out of the military for a while without knowing what I wanted to do. They did a great job with it. Yep.
Yeah, great. Yeah, it's a great testament to the work that you're doing and others are doing at these. And we'll talk more about kind of those resources that are available, hopefully in a little bit too. Luke, do you want to talk?
Oh, sure. So I got out in 2009. I remember my TAPS class was very brief. It was pretty much go to the VA and go and use your GI Bill. And the biggest thing I remember is like my first night out of the Marines, like my first night home was probably like the loneliest night I ever had because when you're at the barracks, I mean, whether you want it or not, everyone like you have your buddies around you constantly, and everyone is not even a phone call away. They're 5 feet away, and you get home and everyone's no one's around. So I remember that was very difficult for me. Yeah, I tried to go to I did go to college. I actually got 2 degrees, but the entire time I was in college, I remember the joke was that vets feel like Billy Madison, the Adam Sandler from the Adam Sandler movie when he goes back to school around a bunch of young kids, and it it was pretty tough. And I ended up getting back into military contracting, and I just and then I started seeing my buddies more, my veteran friends, and I started helping them with different things. And then I got the great opportunity to go into crane operating, and that's and everything has worked out since.
And the rest is history, as they say. Right.
Yes.
So, oh, it's good. I appreciate that you sharing that story, and how tough it was to transition. I'm guessing it's reflective of a lot of guys that are getting out of the military and trying to figure out what they're going to do with their lives, both personally and professionally. So,
Well,
Eric, did you want to add
also,
anything?
oh,
Sure. So I retired out of the Army after 26 years in 2018. So a good portion of my early life, all I knew was the military. Um, and I can tell you, networking and being involved will be your biggest strengths and your biggest supports when you transition out. Because as Luke mentioned, there'll be times sometimes where you feel like you're alone, like nobody understands what you're going through. Uh, you're going from one world to another world, and the sheer networking, just people I knew when I retired, that's how I got my job now. Somebody called me up one day and said, "Hey, have you found a job yet?" And I'd put in some resumes and, just sort of waiting, enjoying my transition leave. Um, but then a buddy of mine called me and said, "Hey, I saw this job you'd be perfect for." And I went in, I looked at it, I reviewed it, I applied, and I've been here ever since. So, um, surrounding yourself with like-minded people is definitely helpful and beneficial. If you get involved with some veterans groups, and then like Luke was mentioning, if you can get involved with serving other veterans, whether it's just listening to them, whether it's helping them file their claims, stuff that you've done before, it will bring you so much clarity and it will bring you more, what's the word I'm looking for? It will get you involved and you'll feel like you belong. Service equals happiness, in my opinion.
Nice. That's great. I like that quote there. That's service equals happiness. And by working with other people, then you'll make other connections. So that leads really well into my next question, Eric, which is again for the group kind of um can you share some typical, as I know there's some people on here that are, work for either crane companies or recruiters too, and are trying to find veterans that they want to be able to get involved and so just kind of give us some insights from all you guys, kind of the different places that typical ways that, new and even older veterans are exposed to different careers, or like where do they look? How do they, like how do they learn about stuff? Um, and where to get a job and where what jobs are available or that kind of stuff.
Well, I can tell you one of the things I want to say starting off, and I use this with students, but it can go for anybody, even veterans. A vet doesn't know, or a vet can't be what a vet can't see. So if you're a veteran and you've never worked a day in the crane world, you have no idea where to start or how to get there. So the more we can expose them to the different opportunities, whether it's through a career fair, where businesses get together or industries get together, just to show these are the different jobs we have. This is what it looks like. Uh, there's career exploration tools that I know Luke mentioned TAP earlier, the Transition Assistance Program. They use ONET. There's also Career One Stop, American Job Centers. Um, so a lot of times helping a veteran transition to one of these jobs that they're not really aware of. I mean, they may know it's out there. They drive through, you drive through Tucson or Phoenix, you see all the construction, they've got crane operators, but you never really think about it. It's like a radio DJ, you know. How in the world do we get that done? So I think exposure is the key thing through the transition assistant programs that all the military installations use on service members that are separating and transition out, whether it's through retirement, whether it's through just a ETS, uh, getting in there and getting exposure to the different industries is key, especially if you can translate what that looks like compared to service in the military or whatever job they're doing in the military. Because a lot of times they're not going to think, oh, well, I was an infantry person, I was an infantryman. How does that even connect with anything else unless I want to be a mercenary? But there's so many skills, like Caitlin was talking about, those transferable skills that can transition into those other job positions. So I think that's the biggest thing is getting the exposure out there, contacting those transition assistance programs, contacting the state and local veteran program. The key would be to get them before they officially transition out of the military.
Great advice. Gabriel, anything to add to that one?
Yeah, no, I think he nailed it. It's all about networking, peer networking groups, so on and so forth, because one thing leads to the other, to the other. For organizations, absolutely get in. Every county in the United States has a one stop. It's run by the state. Get involved, see what's going on, attend all these job fairs because you might not know what you don't know. You're not going to know what you don't know, right? So exposing yourself and asking those questions, one thing's going to lead to the other, and that's how you're going to be like, oh, you know what? I don't like that. You know what? That actually sounds really interesting. How do I get there? How do I get there? Do you have to pay for a certification? Hey, the call the one stops when there's additional funding. There's a grant called WIOA, Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, and through that grant, it's a Department of Labor grant, goes to the state and gets distributed to the counties. That being said, those counties have money to pay for some certifications. But the main idea is getting involved, and Eric nailed it. Network, get involved, go to the job fairs, ask the questions, see what you want, get exposed to it, and then worst comes to worst, you know what you want and you know what you don't want.
Great advice. And yeah, that's good to know about the local one stops. I think just again, people don't know what they don't know. Luke, what was your kind of how'd you get exposed to everything? And I know you've helped others get into it. So like where veterans like how'd you come across the crane industry and how are you finding other
Yeah.
veterans that want to get in it?
So I feel like there was like kind of like three questions in that one. But so like first off, like veterans, they sometimes they'll latch on to the first job they find, either to keep busy or just out of routine. But so my experience was that my uncle had brought it up to me when I was younger, and after I stopped doing the military contracting and graduated from college, I decided like I just a buddy of mine was talking to me about it. I said, I've always wanted to do that. So he said, come to dinner with me and my friend, and they told me how to do it. And believe it or not, as veterans, we have a leg up on everyone else for this career because most people either would have to do the apprenticeship program or pay for a school, but we have the GI Bill, and if we are service connected, we have used to be called Voc Rehab, now it's called VR&E to pay for these schools. So we could go, and there's different schools I recommend, but I went to one in Woodland, Washington, called West Coast Training. Great school, and I got all my certs, and I then was given a lot of good opportunities that I did very well in, and it just kept going. The best way for veterans to find this stuff is, yeah, social media is big. I mean, that's how you found me, TJ. You on Reddit, Facebook. Ask questions, get involved. Um, there and there's for employers to find veterans. There's a very good Facebook group called DD214 Crane Ops and Riggers. It's got like 3,000 members, and it's all veterans, all crane operators, and we share job leads with each other. We'll share advice with new operators, and so they allow like hire recruiters and people that do hiring to come in there so they can post jobs, and it's a really good option. A guy named Chris Gursky, really great guy. He runs the group, and it's just a really good tool.
Oh, awesome. What was the name of that group again?
DD214
Okay.
Crane Ops, OPS, and Riggers.
All right. That sounds good. I will, if anybody's interested, who's on this too afterwards, I'll get the specific page and link and stuff, and I can send it to you. You can email me, but that's great resource there, Luke. I appreciate that. So the other question I wanted to say is there was, Caitlin brought up some of the skills and qualities. Um, that make veterans, good for any civilian job, really. And I kind of wanted to just highlight that again. From your experience, you guys on, your experience working with, other veterans, all of you had experience kind of getting veterans into, different careers, whether it's the crane industry or some other thing. What things, if you were to talk about veterans, to be like, here are the things that I would, some of the things Caitlin mentioned, but you can feel free to repeat. But the things that you would say, like, this is why veterans are, would be great hires, right? No matter if they've got any experience with the industry or not, or any kind of job or not. Like, what makes a veteran kind of a unique and quality kind of candidate?
Well, I'll jump in. You know, a couple of things that I look at is veterans emphasize mission-driven reliability. They're low-risk operators, dependable under pressure, and a strong safety mindset, which leads into highlight safety discipline. So, um, as service members, uh, we're trained in several different skills and tasks. But I can tell you, if you've ever been deployed or been sent to a theater of operation, uh, they harp on safety, 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 mission first, and safety. And those are two of the big things that I would point out, and I would talk to employers about, and then even talking with the veterans, talk to them about highlighting those two key skills.
I would say they're really good on time. If those that have been in the military, you have to be there 15 minutes before anything begins, and then you have to be 15 minutes prior to those 15 minutes to make sure you have everything, right? So they're very dependable, they're reliable, they'll be there on time. One of the things is that fact that they can switch from being independent to working in a team environment. They're really good at adaptability. So those are the key things that I look for when I am hiring individuals to my team, right? I say, hey, can you work independent and can you work with the team? When they say they're veterans, I automatically know they can shift. I don't have to be on top of them. They can do what they have to do without someone being guiding them the entire time. So, yeah.
Luke, yeah, thanks. You Luke, got anything to add to that?
I mean, yeah, Gabriel and Eric pretty much hit everything on the head. I mean, I was gonna say, like whenever I talk to employers and I'm recommending someone for a job, even if they don't have that much experience, like all right, what are your biggest concerns? Oh, reliability. Well, he's a vet. He's going to show up. He's going to do the job. Uh, Attitude, work ethic. He's gonna do the job very well. And then, as Gabriel was saying, with working in a team, when you get out of service, it's everything's about the team, and it's a very selfless like mentality, and you're willing to go the extra mile. You're willing to work a little harder, and for the team, and it's a lot of and you don't really learn to be selfish in a way until several years after you get out. You learn to I really got to take care of myself. But so it's a very easy selling point to employers, like, hey, all of the concerns you have, a majority of them would be alleviated by hiring a veteran, and all of the green flags and positive traits you're looking for in an operator, a majority of them a veteran will have.
Nice. Yeah, totally. And so I'm going to flip it on its head a little bit here, the question, just to say, and Caitlin mentioned this again, that there, from the research and the conversations that were had was that, the crane industry provides some unique things that potentially would be appealing to veterans. I guess, I'll throw it first to you, Luke, just to kind of say, like, from your, if you're going to relate it back to your military experience or maybe just kind of your values and attitudes and things like that, like what do you think, you find attractive being a crane operator for 14 years in that industry? What are the things, do you think in general when you're talking to guys that you help get into this industry to tell them like, yeah, I mean, this would potentially be a good fit for them with their military background?
Um, so I'm going to be honest. The biggest thing, in my opinion, is the money. Um, when you tell a veteran or they can make over 180 grand a year, and not have to. I think the quote that she used earlier, "break your back breaking labor." I think that was mine. If you can make that much money without doing backbreaking labor and in a comfortable environment. I mean, right now I'm in a tower crane. I mean, I'm looking at the Knoxville skyline. um, it's a great life. And I tell a lot of veterans that it's consistent work. It's you have a sense of purpose because you're always building something. And if you're either building a new building, or a place for people to live, or you're improving the infrastructure of our country or your state. It's just something that when you have a family, you can just drive around and say, "Oh, look, I built that. I built that. I built that." And there's also like if you want to be continue to be part of a brotherhood, you could join the union, and you'll have well, there's retirement options. Some unions have both a pension and a 401k or annuity. So there's many different reasons, I guess I should say, to get into it. But it's and also, the amount of schooling is not that long for it. And I just lost my math schooling. It's not that long.
Yeah, comparatively to you think it comparatively to going to
Yeah,
4 years of college, right? And the what you can do and make. I mean, I think it depends on what school you go to, but you're talking about obviously several weeks for get training and then certification,
yes.
and then you have to go through the process of on the job kind of work and stuff. Years to get good at it, but
And the
comparatively,
VA
right?
pays for it. And the VA pays for it, which like no one, unless you're a veteran, as I said earlier, either you have to pay for the school or you have to do a 4-year apprenticeship program. So you have this benefit over everyone else.
Gotcha. Gabriel, do you gonna add anything?
No, 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 no.
Okay. No, I think that's great. I appreciate that. And that's, I think, where, um, like Luke was saying, we've heard a lot of people, not just veterans, but, the ability to like kind of be hands-on, do stuff, build your communities and be part of something that you actually get to see what your results are, is a great, I think a great aspect for, again, not people that aren't just veterans, but clearly something that I think appeals to veterans as well. Uh, So I was going to say a couple other things I just wanted to hit on before we open up the questions. Um, just you already guys kind of mentioned this, or actually Eric did talk about this, but curious kind of for the both aspects of if you're a veteran kind of what are the first steps you would recommend they do? Like you're a veteran, you just got out, or maybe you're just a veteran looking for a better fit. Like, what are the first steps you'd recommend them doing? And then kind of again on the flip side, if you're a company and you're like, I really should go get some veterans, what would be the first basic things you would say start here, if you haven't done anything else?
What I would do is I'll go straight to the one stop. Find the one stop, find those veteran organizations, employment agencies. Um, that's where I would start because once you go walk into these organizations, they'll sit down with you. You'll be assigned a case manager, and they will ask you, what do you want to do? Since you're just getting out of the military right now, you don't have, well, I'm assuming you don't have those connections with the community. You don't have as many connections with the community as these case managers that's been doing this type of work for a while, these workforce development, right? Once you sit down with them, they will start gearing you and steering you to the right path to include if you need some certifications. But the first thing is identifying what you want. Sit down with these case managers, sit down, see what they're doing, see what they have to offer. That's one of them. The second thing is attend all the job fairs in these communities. Whatever they're offering, attend, expose yourself. Once you know what you want to do, it'll make it a lot easier. But right now, if you're coming out, you don't know what you want to do, you just want a job, you want to find something, I will definitely sit down with one of these workforce organizations and have them kind of steer me what this community has to offer. Uh, yep, that's what I would do.
So to caveat on what Gabriel was saying, for the businesses and the recruiters out there, start with the veteran focused workforce programs, which are connected to what Gabriel was talking about. Local DVOPs and levers. A DVOP, Disabled Veteran Outreach Program Coordinator. Lever is a local veteran employment representative. They're all over the nation. Every
Mhm.
state has them. Just about every county has them. And their staff is there to help facilitate. So the DevOps can help uh, veterans and transitioning service members with finding jobs, working on resumes, even finding training dollars to help pay for certifications and training. The lever works with the employers, and they go out and advocate for the client, the veteran who's looking for that work. So definitely, what Gabriel was saying, go to those one stops in Arizona. It's called Arizona at Work. There's 13 regions, 30 something offices, but nationwide, there is a workforce. Go to the military transition programs, the TAP classes. The military also has the Skill Bridge program where soldiers transitioning up to 6 months out can actually start basically interning at a local facility, learning a skill or learning the job after the 6 months. Good part is they're still getting their military pay, so it's an internship program, so it's free labor for the business, and the soldiers, the service members, still getting their regular pay and stuff up until the day they transition out. So the Skill Bridge partnership is huge. Uh, if you're near a military installation, get in contact with their transitioning uh, TAP program, the transition assistance programs. A lot of times they do job fairs, career fairs, uh, to to help you get exposed to the service member transitioning, veteran nonprofit services. Organizations like US Vets, Team Rubicon, hiring our heroes. There's so many different nonprofit organizations that are there to help vets find resources and work. Businesses and recruiters just need to connect with them, and that'll help you build a pipeline as well. And some of them actually offer some pretty good perks. Hiring Our Heroes has a program where if you hire someone, um, a veteran or even a military spouse that they'll pay their wages for the first 3 to 6 months. So you get free help. They pay the wages, and if it works out, you hire them on full time permanently. Um, and then of course your community colleges and training centers. Luke talked about the GI Bill. Um, and the GI Bill can cover a lot of different training and certifications now. And then of course Gabriel mentioned industry hiring fairs and trade events. Get your name out there. Get out there and meet. And veterans, those same organizations can work for you as well. So it serves 2 points. You've got those nonprofits, the American Legion, the USOs, VFWs, DAVs. They're all networking organizations, and they can help you find the job or find the talents you need for the job.
Great. Yeah, there's lots of things I didn't even know about that I didn't hear about. So I appreciate you sharing that and that like the resources and the potential money available for the companies too. Well, I want to give a few minutes here for people if they got questions. Again, if you've got any questions and you're on the live on the webinar, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box there on Zoom, and I'll try to get to it. One thing that I see is since Caitlin was talking, I guess about she talked about one of the challenges, one of the ways to do yeah, from the research is the need to uplift veterans' voices and the military community in general, um, so that they especially for this industry, like what do you have any suggestions for ways that we can like highlight and uplift the voices of veterans? The crane industry can do that so that we can better, again, better get exposure. You guys are talking about kind of getting exposure to the industry. And I'm really, I guess, uplifting the voices and highlighting the folks that are in this industry. Any suggestions about how we could do that better?
You know what? We have an email blast that goes out every it's a weekly email blast goes out every Monday morning. If these crane operators, if these organizations have any openings, they can send them over to me and I can promote their job openings. I can place it on the county webpage. I can send it to my workforce development partners. We can expose these job openings that the crane operators have at this time. At the vet center, we also have a group of the population is veterans looking for jobs for the most part. We also have the VA in there, but veterans that come in job seeking, they can see those openings and they can be like, "Hey, I'm interested on that, but I don't have all the qualifications." Now, here in Pima County, we have a program, as Eric was mentioning. It's called on the job training program, and I can go over to this company that might be requiring 5 year, 4, 3, 2 years of experience, but this candidate doesn't have it. So I can be like, hey, if you hire my client, I can pay 50% of their wages for a certain amount of time for you to give them that experience. So it's a no loss for you, and it's a caveat for them to hire our veterans. Not to mention, they get a tax reduction by the state. It's WOTC, WOTC we call it. So we can go above and beyond for those veterans and for these organizations trying to recruit veterans. When it comes to crane operators, we can pay for those certifications as well for our veterans to go into their company. Now, for organizations like companies that are looking to hire, we also have a program called incumbent worker training. So if they have an employee who's a veteran, or maybe not even a veteran, if someone that's in there and's been working with the organization for more than 6 months, and they need some certification to upskill that employee, we can pay for it as well. So if they have a veteran they want to upskill, reach out to us and we'll move forward on trying to get that veteran that certification needed. So there's multiple programs that we have. If job seekers need tools, equipment, uniform, eyeglasses, we can pay for that as well. So, yep.
Ah, it's great to know. Yeah, that's really good. And I wanted to add to some of one of our participants. Also, I know we haven't mentioned it too much here, but they're so if you go through a union apprenticeship program, you can that is a free program. You get paid and learn on the job, and then you can use your GI, or at least according to what they're saying here, use your GI Bill to pay themselves while they're training too. So there's some other aspects, but in addition to the programs you're talking about, Gabriel, which again I wasn't aware of, and hopefully is new information for folks that this might be possible to utilize some of these tools for the companies that are trying to find vets and hire them. Um, but again, yeah, going the apprenticeship route, or even some companies I know have programs that kind of do the same thing where they've got a internal apprenticeship program where you're kind of working your way up as you get paid and you learn, and then they ultimately pay for your certifications. So a lot of opportunities, if we can get that exposure for veterans. Well, I appreciate everybody's time. I know we're running up at the end here. So I just want to wrap up kind of quickly and just first
I
off,
wanted to add something if
oh,
possible real
please go
quick.
ahead, Luke. Go ahead.
For uplifting the veteran voices, I definitely like demonstrating the success stories. Like there like for instance, there's a guy named George Holland. He's an Army vet. He owns a crane company called Skyhook Ops, and he hires 60% veterans. He pays his veterans, his fellow vets, very well. And from everything I've heard, I mean, I talked to him here and there. I have not worked for him yet, but from everything I've heard, he is an amazing boss. And he just recently, they just finished the largest skyscraper in Austin. And it's not just him. You have other companies like you have Warrior Precast, Warrior Steel. Um, Patriot Lifting, Patriot Crane, and I think by showing that you know that other veterans are not just be crane operators, but can be business owners and very
Yeah.
successful. It's inspiring to other vets that have no idea what they're going to do when they get out, of the military.
No, great point. Yeah, exactly. Highlighting the stories of the veterans that and like their success stories in the industry and what they're doing to try to, say they are successful, they are good in this and to just not say it. I mean, we know it, but to kind of really show and highlight it. Yeah, that's a great example. I
But
appreciate that. And we'll
TJ, can
connect
I throw
too.
something in there real quick?
Please.
So to caveat on what Lou was talking about, I read through the questions and I put together some answers ahead of time. But and one of the things I put down is highlight veterans in outreach and storytelling, just like Luke talked about. And some of the things to think about for these businesses is to share real veteran success stories, use veterans as ambassadors at different events, and create a veteran spotlight campaigns, monthly or quarterly, uh, to share these stories and stuff. And then build veteran-centered hiring and onboarding, and then strengthen partnerships with veteran organizations. So, and then of course, you can also create opportunities for veterans to lead. And that's all part of the campaign to build the veterans' voices, to share what's out there, and to highlight, the veterans and what they bring to the table.
Yeah, awesome ideas. No, I appreciate you sharing that, Eric. Yeah, so I know this is great, and I know some of these things are mentioned in the research report too. If you're looking to get this will be available, this webinar. The recording will be available to share with other folks in the next few days. I'll send it out to the people that participated. Keep an eye out, please, for future webinars. We're going to be doing one on tools and processes to make sure people are verifying their operators. And then we're going to be doing actually a whole campaign around outreach and communication toolkit that we've been developing of how to reach folks and talk about the industry. And some of this, stuff relates in terms of highlighting folks. I'll also be sending a brief survey to everybody who's been involved or who's been participating. Please provide your feedback. I'd love to hear what you have to say so we can improve our webinars going forward. So I know we're up on time, so I just want to thank Caitlin, Eric, Luke, and Gabriel again for being here. For everybody that's attended the webinar today, again, I'll be sending out a survey and the recording soon. I hope you've all learned something. I definitely have. So again, appreciate your time and attendance and your ability to share your knowledge and expertise with us. So again, have a great rest of the day and rest of the week and appreciate it. Everybody take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.